ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed figure unboxing and review video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at none other than the ArtFigures arms dealer, aka Ulysses Klaue, aka Andy Serkis, based off his appearance in the Black Panther movie, and of course Avengers Age of Ultron as well. Now it wouldn't feel right doing a video review on a product based off the Black Panther movie without of course paying my respects to the late Chadwick Boseman. Unfortunately he did pass away. Let's leave an RIP down in the comments below. My thoughts and condolences go to Chadwick's family. Now of course, this figure is a third-party unlicensed product. That means the company ArtFigures doesn't hold the intellectual property rights to call this guy what he actually is, which is of course Klaw from Black Panther. Now if you are looking to pick him up, he is in stock right now with toyswonderland.com. That's where I purchased mine. Link is down below just for your reference purposes only. Don't forget they are now offering 12-month installment plans if you'd like to pay off your figures over time. Also, while you are down in the description, why not hit that subscribe and bell notification icon so you're notified as soon as brand new Hot Toys third party or otherwise content goes live on the channel. What we're going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. And here we have the box art for the arms dealer himself, with an image of his prosthetic arms split apart right up there on the front. Yes, the figure can actually do that, and we'll be looking at that in just a second. You can see an image of the figure right up there on the side of the box. No, that's not a screen grab from the movie. That is the figure himself, ladies and gents. Now we do have some legal information on the back with a nice film strip style reel there. Now say what you will about ArtFigures and their weirdly proportioned bodies. They're sort of more cartoony styled, but they never let us down on the box art and the presentation, as they haven't done here. This looks fantastic. Super high gloss image of Klaw, and of course it can open to reveal the figure himself. Now let's get him out here. I have been super excited for his arrival ever since that pre-order initially went up. It looked a little bit funny from some angles, granted, but fingers crossed the figure has actually turned out fairly darn decent. And of course, at first glance, I have to say, it doesn't look all that bad. It doesn't look as funky. I'm talking about the body, of course. The head sculpt I don't think was ever there to be questioned. It already looked pretty darn fantastic, but nevertheless, here is the figure in all his glory. But let's set him aside and take a look at the stuff he comes with. As you can see, some accessories dotted around the box, including his prosthetic arm. So what we're gonna do now is get all of this stuff laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have all of the accessories that come with Klaw. As you can see, kind of slim pickings here. He doesn't come with a hell of a lot of stuff. At the very least, most of these pieces are pretty darn badass, but he's missing one key accessory in my personal opinion, being a display base. I don't know why he doesn't come with one. At the very least, ArtFigures should have thrown in one of those basic black Hot Toy style oval display bases, but they didn't do it. Again, not exactly sure why, but I do think the figure is a little bit worse off for them actually omitting the display base entirely. Nevertheless, let's take a look at what he does come with. This is, of course, his briefcase. I do think in the movie he was either carrying vibranium or cash. You'll have to let me know down in the comments below. It's been a while since I've seen the film, but nevertheless, this can't open. I've tried. These pieces are fixed. It's literally just a hollow piece of plastic, but it's sculpted fairly nicely. I do believe this is just a basic off-the-shelf 1/6 scale accessory that they packaged in with the arms dealer here. Now speaking of arms, let's take a look at his weapon, which of course morphs out of his prosthetic limb. It's a really nicely done piece. The sculpting is fantastic. You can see it's also weathered and painted very, very nicely, and these pieces can move, so you can sort of swivel them out of the way and move bits and pieces around to get it to look just the way you'd like. Now popping that down, he does come with an accessory sheet that explains how to use it. So of course, the instructions up there, switch out the arm. Apparently you can remove all of these components to give him just the little stump where his arm was cut off by Ultron, but I've tried and I really don't want to press this piece too hard trying to remove it, and this piece as well underneath really doesn't seem like it wants to come off, so I'm not exactly sure if I'm doing something wrong, but for me personally, I'm just going to leave it in its weaponized mode anyway, so it's not too big of a deal. Now he does come with a little pickaxe here, and it looks really good. It's nicely sculpted, painted, and detailed. It looks like a proper rusty piece. Unfortunately, it's not die-cast. I was really hoping it was going to be. Just after we took a look at the Toy Zero Robin with that proper die-cast bow staff, this is a little bit of a letdown. It would have been easy to do, just a basic fixed piece here, no moving components, but nevertheless, they didn't do it. Now, he does come with 2 pistols. This one is a Glock 17, I do believe, and you do have some basic moving pieces. It's really stiff, but just take my word for it. The top slide can move, and of course, you can remove the magazine as well. He does also come with a 1911, again, same moving action, which is really darn stiff, and he does have a removable magazine on this piece as well. The cool thing though for the 1911 is he does come with 2 extra magazines for his belt. You will have to loop the belt through there, and you will have to do the same thing for the holster, but not too much of a challenge, I'm sure. He does come with 2 different styles of hands, one being the prosthetic limb, which is actually a different color to the regular hand, which I really do like. It just showcases the fact that this isn't a real piece of flesh, and you can definitely tell it doesn't look anywhere near as realistic with the nice sort of shading and extra textural detail on this one right here, including of course that tattoo. You can also see a nice scar that runs up the top, which will be on the arm itself. Now, the second biggest crime in my opinion that this figure commits, or I should say the second and third, is the necklace. You can see that's the end of it right there. You're gonna have to tie it yourself. That's already challenging enough, but then they give you an untied 1/6 scale tie. I don't know if anyone's ever tried out there in the audience tying up a 1/6 scale tie, but it's incredibly challenging to do so. I'm going to give it my best, but unfortunately if I'm not able to do it, he's going to have to go tieless throughout the course of this video. But nevertheless, enough complaining from me. What we're going to do now is get the figure himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have the ArtFigures arms dealer himself standing straight up and down the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that, and I have to say he's looking pretty decent. There is one thing though that's kind of throwing off the entire thing, and you probably already guessed it. It's the choice of body. For some reason they went way too big in my opinion, especially on the upper torso. He's kind of got this big bodybuilder physique, and while Klaw was kind of portrayed as that crazy style character that maybe was into bodybuilding, he wasn't anywhere near as big in terms of Andy Serkis being on screen at least. As far as I'm aware, this figure is slightly too large. Maybe they stretched the proportions a little bit to work in figure format, but we'll talk about the body a little bit more in just a second. Overall though, I'm loving the head sculpt, I'm loving the outfit. Unfortunately, as you can see, the white is being blown out on the shirt, but trust me, it is still there, and overall, I'm liking the way this guy looks. What we're gonna do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have Klaw himself up close and personal, and I can't believe it's taken someone this long to give us an Andy Serkis figure, and I'm glad that it's in the format of Ulysses Klaue. He's a bit of a crazy character, and the figure does represent that with that goofy grin he's got on there, but you can tell he definitely still means business. I like the head sculpt, it's on point in my opinion, the likeness is definitely there, but the one thing that kind of lets it down is potentially the paint app. It's a little bit too glossy, a little bit too waxy. It does make him look like he's maybe sweating a little bit, but in the context of sort of how he looks, doesn't really make sense. I do like, of course, the tribal tattoo on the back of his head and the little gold tooth. It's a nice attention to detail. I'd say the likeness is potentially 95 there, at least for me personally. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. Now, the body choice. Let's talk for a moment on the body. It's a bit of a weird one. I don't know why ArtFigures always uses this overly big, macho, sort of cartoony style body. You can see it's very angular. I don't know any person alive that looks quite like this, especially down here on the arms. You can see it's just very harsh angles. It looks like a polygonal body that you'd see maybe in a PS2 video game. It's just weird. I don't know why they've done it. A little bit closer into the realism department, in my opinion, would have worked wonders for this figure, because that head sculpt is realistic. That's a dude right there. It's not some cartoon character, so I don't know why they've gone with this style of body. Nevertheless, you can see it makes his upper torso look really big. And yes, I failed at the tie and at the necklace. To be honest with you, I didn't even give it a go because it was so darn challenging to do with the Daft Toys Joker that I knew it was going to be next to impossible on this big, thick-necked figure here, so I didn't give the tie a go, but nevertheless, it still does work quite nicely in terms of the outfit itself. Without the tie, he's a bit unkempt and a little bit crazy and kooky anyway, so a tie might just be a little bit too professional for Klaw here. Now the outfit, the blue vest and the blue pants are pretty darn nice. They're very basic. I do like the weave. It's a nice silky style material, and yes, you can see the vest is held on by press studs. That's another complaint I do have. When you get a little bit crazy with the torso articulation, it does tend to pop this piece out here. Yes, you can just plug it back on, but some of these things here could have been, in my opinion, potentially replaced with magnets. Now moving down to the arm, as you can see, this is his regular arm, but you can still see the scars where the prosthetic arm would split apart all the way down to the fist. It's a nice touch and a nice attention to detail that I appreciate ArtFigures putting in, and don't worry, you will see the prosthetic arm on the figure a little bit later in the video. Now you can see that they have included these little wrist bracelets here to cover up the joints. I really like that. It makes him look pretty much entirely seamless. Top to bottom, it's a very nice touch, and I'm glad that they've done that. It just pretty much hides the last point of articulation that you'd otherwise see. Now moving down to the pants, not really much to speak of here. They are just a nice basic silky style material, just like the vest itself. And as you can see on the back of the vest, you do have a darker style material. Now moving down to the boots, as you can see, they are sort of an ankle high boot there with a nice strap over the top. They're nicely done, nicely sculpted. I do wish they were kind of a little bit more dirtied up. Klaw isn't the best, most well-kept, well-dressed guy out there, so having them a little bit more dirtied around the edges would have been a nice touch. Nevertheless, this is still perfectly fine, and of course, under there we do have some little white socks. Overall though, I'm pretty darn impressed with how simple and basic this outfit is, and somehow they've managed to get it to fit on this crazy big bulky body while still looking pretty darn awesome. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the ArtFigures Klaw standing alongside the Hot Toys Killmonger. As you can see, a fairly different size scale of body used here for the ArtFigures release. It's big, it's bulky in my opinion, a little bit too much so, but still, standing together I think these two kind of work. They look good both in their own right, and now having them together on the same shelf, it kind of is a really nice step towards building out the Black Panther universe. I'm looking still for an Okoye and an Nakia. Hopefully a third-party company will eventually get around to making those two, because there are definitely a hell of a lot more characters in the Black Panther universe that need to be made. Just going over articulation on Klaw himself. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt itself, it is on a fixed neck, so that means you're not really going to get a hell of a lot in terms of range of motion. As you can see, forward and back, not too much, some swivel, and of course pivot side to side. Now the arms themselves go up to about there before they start getting really darn restricted and bumping into this huge upper torso. Going forward as unrestricted as you'd expect, butterfly joint, and you do have a swivel at the upper bicep, a bend at the elbow which is only a single but it does go past 90, and of course a regular 1/6 scale joint at the wrist itself. Now you might be wondering what this interchangeable arm does for articulation. There's nothing in the elbow whatsoever, but these pieces can move on a multitude of different joints. You can see a bunch of different little spindly pieces in there. They can all move around and you can situate it however you'd like. Now the torso itself does move forward quite a way because it is two cuts. There's one up here and then one at the lower as well. This does tend to come unbuttoned, but you can get it crunching forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The legs themselves go forward to about there. They go out as well, swivel at the upper thigh, a double bend there at the knee, but it doesn't really go too much past 90, and of course a regular 1/6 scale ball joint for the feet themselves. Just wrapping up on the ArtFigures Klaw. Now this guy has been a long time coming, and honestly, parts of it do live up to the hype and the expectations that are built up as the months have rolled by, but others really don't. Number one, no display base, and yes, you can kind of overlook that, I know, it's just me being nitpicky, but the second one is the weird body. I understand that we're doing a custom body to use the prosthetic arm gun, but in the same vein, would you make it so polygonal and so sort of sharp in terms of the textures, and it just looks weird. I don't know why they've done me. It doesn't really mesh with the rest of the line thus far. Yes, you could technically switch out the body, but then you can't use the prosthetic arm, which is a big part of the character. Also, it wouldn't have the tattoos on the arms, so it really wouldn't quite work. So I don't know why they've chosen this. Does it ruin the figure entirely, I'm sure is the big question for a lot of people. No, I don't think it does, and bear with me here, he still evokes the character from the film. The head sculpt is strong enough, the outfit is strong enough, some of the accessories, including of course the prosthetic arm and the axe, really kind of do make up for some of the shortcomings of the figure. Honestly, I still really like the way it looks. I think it's going to work well on the shelf, but not as well as it could have if they'd used just a regular style body. Now don't forget, this is a third-party unlicensed release. That means ArtFigures don't have the intellectual property rights to actually call this guy who he is. So if you are purchasing this, do so knowing full well it is unlicensed. Now I picked up mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is down in the description below, just for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video. This is just a review on a product that I purchased with my own money. Also check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the brand new awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.